Well, it's Friday night, and you know what that means? It's Friday Night Bourbon Fight! Well, welcome to Bourbon Fight. In tonight's bout, it is the Blanton's Single Barrel, 93 proof, going up against the John J. Bowman Single Barrel, 100 proof. These are two of my favorite bourbons. And I've been thinking about this one for a while. But here's the twist. Starting tonight, and it's kind of a trial run, we're going to blind test them. I don't know which one is in the glasses behind it. So I thought, sometimes I know, well, I like this one better, or I like that one not as well, or that one has a funny taste to it. Now, granted, I do know the two bourbons we're fighting tonight, but I'm just going to add a little bit more mystery to it by not knowing which ones I'm tasting. Before we get started in Aroma, I want to say a little bit about each of our contestants. The Blanton's is a single barrel produced by the Buffalo Trace Distillery. It has the reputation of being the world's first single barrel bourbon. From what I've read, I think that is true. If you've got a different opinion, please put it in the comments below. It is usually an allocated item, meaning you won't normally see it on the store shelves. You're going to have to develop a relationship with a bottle shop to get one of these fine bottles. And it comes in other varieties other than just the single barrel that you see here. This is the most common. Our other product is from the A. Smith Bowman Distillery in Virginia. Now, this is also a sought-after product, although not allocated as far as I'm aware. You can find that in stores that do carry the Bowman product. It just may not be on the shelf. You may have to ask for it. Now, I paid $59 locally for this John J. Bowman. I paid $69 locally for this Blanton's. I think this is maybe just a little bit above list price, and this is probably right at list price. I was happy with the price I paid for both of them. I really didn't think I overpaid for either. So, we're going to get into the aroma. I got my little scorecard here. I don't know which one is which. All I know, this is glass E, this is glass F. So let's get into it. First up, aroma for 5 points. Honey, butterscotch, very sweet smelling, very nice, and a kind of a light fruit. I'm not sure I can tell you what fruit, but definitely a light fruit, not a dark fruit. That is very pleasant. Now on to glass F. This smells a little darker, a little more molasses aroma, and the fruits are not quite as light. About the same amount of proof from either one. I think one is 93 and the other one's 100, so not a big difference, not really in my mind. This is definitely more molasses brown sugar. And this one, honey, butterscotch, light fruit. They are both excellent in the aroma. It's like apples and oranges. Which one do you like better? This is kind of like the apples. This is kind of like the orange. This is a little bit lighter. This is a little bit darker. All right, I'm going to put the score on the screen. I say that this round was a tie. They're both equally wonderful smelling bourbons. All right, now we're on to taste, where the points double, possible 10 points. And this time we'll start with glass F, the one that had more of the molasses smell. Cheers. Oh, that's nice. Baking spice right up front. The aroma goes right into the taste. It was that maple, or should I say molasses, brown sugar. Maybe some type of stone-pitted fruit. Not quite as light as Glass E, but definitely delicious and sweet. All right, to Glass E. I'm hoping this is that is just as good. It'd be great if the whole thing was a tie, wouldn't it? You go like, no, Mike, not a tie. We want to know which one's better. Cheers. Oh, wow. And I could have said, oh, wow, on this one too. But this one exceeds the aroma. I do get the light fruit. Well, I should say, I do get the baking spice on the front. Not quite as much as Glass F, but I get a wonderful fruitiness that more so than I got out of the aroma, and a sweetness I can't describe. Wow. We're going to have to do this again because they are both outstanding. Back to F. This definitely has more spice on the front. Baking spice, but a little bit of like white pepper in it too. Definitely that molasses, and then that some kind of stone fruit. Not very dark. Sweet. I think this one's actually the sweeter of the two. Wow, that is good. I mean, this is, when I say quintessential bourbon, of all the good things you want in a bourbon, Glass F is like top shelf quintessential bourbon. All right, one more time, back over to Glass E, the fruitier of the two, or say light fruitier of the two. This kind of reminds me of contests I've done with the E.H. Taylor, which is a very light, fruity type bourbon against other more traditional bourbons. And it's kind of like, oh man, I like them both. I would drink either one of these any day of the week. But how do I decide which one's better? I'll take another taste of this. Definitely less baking spice up front, but you've got that wonderful light fruit that comes across, not quite as sweet as F. Oh, it really is a good sipper. That is so close. One more time for F. I'm going to have to score them both. Oh, this is the hardest bourbon fight that I've had to date. These are both just so wonderful. Oh, I'm going to do something I have not done in any prior bourbon fight, and you'll see the score on the screen, and you'll see why. Wow. I love the complexity of Glass F. I love the difference the fruit of Glass E. They're both wonderful. I wish they weren't fighting each other. Wow. Okay, so we've scored that, and now it's round 3. It's all about the aroma. What lingers with you? That's going to be another tough one because both of them have, from what I've experienced so far, excellent finishes. So we'll start back on this side, and it takes a second for me to get that finished. So if you see that little clock running, you know, just yeah, my brain's still working, unfortunately. All right, back to E. Kind of sit that on the palate a little bit longer. The finish on Glass E ends up being more of a dry fruit in the end. I get a little bit of sweetness, those nice baking spices, and it lasts. It does. It's a nice finish. It's definitely up there. All right, back to Glass F and see what this finish is like. About the same as Glass E. Baking spices on the end, not too peppery. You get that fruit that kind of dries out. The sweetness goes away, so it tastes more like a dry fruit with a baking spice finish. Both of them give you that nice Kentucky hug. Okay, we're going to have to score this one, and we'll put it on the screen. So let's tally the results, and we'll come back and give you our final thoughts. I was thinking about the finish and thinking like, well, this has got a little bit longer finish than Glass F. But the reality was I was just as pleased with either finish. Both of them had outstanding taste. Both of them went into a great finish. And it really wasn't, in a scale of 1 to 5 points, it really wasn't a point worth of difference. So really I ended up being a tie, 3-3 in the finish. I just couldn't decide which one was better. It just wasn't enough difference. In the taste, Glass F just edged out, even though I loved the fruitiness, the way that opened up and the taste, and just it was just outstanding. The complexity of Glass F, along with that traditional molasses, brown sugar, and the dark fruits, it's just slightly better. In a 1 to 10, definitely 1 point better. In fact, it got a perfect score. I just thought it was amazing. This was outstanding. This was amazing, the taste. Don't believe the hype. The Blantons and the John J. Bowman are that good. So, I of course don't know which one is which. I kind of was thinking that maybe E was the Blantons because I kind of remember that fruitiness, but you know, I taste so many bourbons and I do 3 or 4 shows a week, all with different bourbons, you know, it's hard to remember which bourbon tastes like which bourbon. So we're going to go to our list here. And I was correct. E is the Blantons. A wonderful bourbon. F, the winner, is the John J. Bowman. I've said on a previous video, in fact it was the first pour video, that I need to go back and buy another bottle. And you can see I better get around to it, right? So, I understand if you're having difficulty finding the Blantons. It took me months to find that. I didn't have to work as hard to find the John J. Bowman. So I will tell you that they're equally enjoyable. Really, 1 point difference. I would refill either one of them in a heartbeat. When I get another chance, I will get another single barrel, because each single barrel can taste different from the last, just like the John J. Bowman. So you might get a whole different experience with either of these bottles. I totally recommend either of these bottles. This was a great contest. I love both these products. I'm sorry to see one lose to the other, but I will tell you, for $59, I don't think, and it's my non-professional judgment, for traditional bourbon, that you can find any bourbon better than the John J. Bowman. Please don't buy everyone out there. I need to go back and get another bottle. So, we hope you enjoyed this video, and you'll hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. We try to do a Friday night bourbon fight every Friday night. It's not easy to do, but we try to get one out for you. And so come and join us next Friday night, because if it's Friday night, it's Friday Night Bourbon Fight! It'd be great if the whole thing was a tie, wouldn't it? You go like, no, Mike, not a tie. We want to know which one's better.